I'm in my 14 carats. I'm 14 karat. Doing it up like Midas.
Hey guys, welcome back. So today's video is going to be the fake friend story. I had already said in my college one that I was going to do the fake friend story, and so here it is today. Now it is going to be a long story. I actually wrote everything out right here, and it's like a whole page. And honestly, I tried not to remember everything. Like, okay, if a bad experience happens to me, I try to like block it out of my mind and not think about it anymore. But when I was making out these story time videos, whatever, I decided to do this video because I know there's some people who have had experiences with fake friends or maybe going through something similar to this, so I figured I would share my experience with you. Now, I do want to say I have not spoken to this girl since, I'd say, 2009, so it has been 6 years. I don't wish any ill on her or anything, but I will say karma is a good thing. So if you guys are interested in hearing this long story, then get a glass of wine or coffee or something to eat because it's gonna be a while. Okay, so let me give you some history, and in fact, I'm not even gonna call the girl by her name. I'm gonna call her Phony. So let me give you some history about me and Phony. I have known this girl since she was probably, or we were like 10 years old. She might have been 9, I was 10. We went to the same church together, and that's how we knew each other. We were never really friends during this time. We were just kind of like acquaintances. I did date her brother, but it was like only a month, and we were like freshmen, so I wouldn't even consider that like dating. But yeah, so anyways, the summer before I entered my sophomore year, our church had a church picnic, and I remember she had came up because she had lived down south, but she came up because she came back up. I don't know why she came back up, but she came back up and she was there, and I remember her telling me that she was going to the same school that I had already been going to, and I was telling her all about it, like, you know, different things that you could do there, as well as like where your classes are going to be, the different teachers, things like that. And I remember telling her that when she did go to the school to let me know, hit me up so we can go hang out together. You know, because I'm a very friendly person, I'm very nice, and especially if you're new somewhere, I definitely want you to feel included, and especially if I've already been around the school, I wanted to make her feel like at home, because it is a big experience from staying at home to going to college. So basically that year, if you guys had already watched my college like roommate story, then you know kind of like how the dorm situations were set up, but that year they had actually overbooked people, so it was a lot of people supposed to be staying on the dorms, but there weren't as many dorms, so they had actually rented out a hotel, or had a hotel, bought a hotel, I don't know how they did it, but they had like, it wasn't even a hotel, I'd say motel. They had people living in the motels, and I didn't sign up to live on East Campus fast enough that year, so they switched me from East to the motel, and she was actually living at the motel as well. So when I had moved in, it was around the same time she had moved in, and I had hit her up, and we hung out for a while. I do remember like later on that week introducing her to my best friend, and my best friend and I had hung out with her for a couple hours, and then afterwards I do remember my best friend telling me like she just got a bad vibe from her. And so I remember often when like I would hang out with her, my best friend didn't really want to come around because she could kind of sense something was wrong then, and I didn't even notice it, but you know, and I should have listened to her, because you know, your best friend isn't out there to hurt you or things like that. They usually can sense things before, and I should have listened, or at least had my guard up. But to me, I was just like, oh no, everything's cool. I've known her since we were 10, you know, everything's fine. So anyways, in the hotel, she had actually made friends with other freshmen, which were 3 other girls, and I had hung out with her and those 3 other girls a lot. Like, we would go to parties, we would go, you know, have sleepovers, just do a lot of like things together. And I remember one time we even went to a party, and on the way, it was like, we went to, I think it was like University of Charlotte or something, Charlottesville or something, and it was like an hour from where our school is. And I remember when we got there, it was 2 guys driving us, and then all of us were squeezed in the back, and when we got there, the 2 guys were like, oh, we're going to smoke before we go into the party. And me, I have never done drugs in my life. I didn't even drink alcohol then, so I was just like, I'm getting out the car, like, I'm not doing this. And the 3 other girls actually stayed in the car, and Phony and I got out, and we stood there, and I was like, oh, okay, you know, she's pretty cool because she's gonna stay out here with me, and she's not doing the same things that they're doing, but at the same time she's not judging them, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like, okay, and I think they were smoking weed and stuff like that. And back then it's kind of, well, not even, it's the same thing now. I feel like if you're going to smoke weed, that's you, that's your choice. I mean, at the end of the day, that's not my body, but I just don't have to be around it. And I'm not going to judge you for that. I'm not going to judge you for really anything you do, because at the end of the day, that is your decision. And that's just how I am. If I'm a friend, I will tell you maybe I don't like it, or maybe it's wrong for you, but if you keep doing it, that's on you and that's your choice. So basically, that's just how I am. I'm very loyal to a fault. I will just really guard my friendships really carefully, but at the same time, I'm not going to judge you for your sins, because everyone sins differently. So around that time, I had actually wasn't dating, sophomore year, I wasn't dating my husband at all. I was actually talking, kind of like, I would say it was like a friends with benefits. I wanted more, but you know, guys never want more. So unless they're serious. I mean, who's serious in college? At least then. So I was talking to this basketball player, and he was like, I guess you could say popular, I guess, but he was probably one of the best looking guys in our school. A lot of girls liked him, and I remember telling the girl phony that I was talking to him, and I remember telling her basically everything that was going on in our relationship. And I thought, to be like, as a friend, when I tell you things, I expect you to keep it in. And to me, I didn't know then that basically what I was saying, she was running and telling everyone, like literally the entire dorm at the hotel. Everyone knew, and I didn't know that she was like this. So I did notice like a bit of a jealousy streak with her. Like she was just like, oh, you know, he's not right for you. And I'm thinking as a friend, you know, maybe she cares about me. Maybe she could see he's not really serious about this relationship. So me, I'm just like taking it with a grain of salt, but still doing my own thing at the same time, because at the end of the day, it is my life. But I wasn't like, you know, she didn't care about me. I didn't know she was telling everyone. So to me, I'm like, well, you know, at least she cares about my relationship, you know, and she's listening and stuff. But I didn't know she was listening to run and tell everyone else. So basically, I would notice when it was just me and her, things were cool. Like we would get along so well. We'd have like a lot of fun together. But when it would come to bringing the other 3 girls or anyone else around, I would notice that she'd get like really jealous, like, and just put me down a lot. Like I would say some things, and me, I can say silly things or things that don't make any sense, and people will be like, really, Kym, you know. But sometimes she would just be like, you know, and some people would even say growing up, like, they'd be like, oh, Kym is so blonde and things like that. But it wasn't like rude. Like she'd be like, oh my gosh, Kym is so slow, and in front of everyone. And it was just like the way you say it, it just rubbed me the wrong way. And I remember even one time we were out and there was some guys, and they were like, oh, you guys know each other or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, you know, we grew up near each other, you know, we know each other from church. And she was like, oh yeah, but we didn't grow up near each other. Kym lived in the ghetto. And literally we lived 5 blocks away from each other. So it's like, if I'm in the ghetto, how are you not in the ghetto? You have a 7-Eleven a block from your house. But you know, I'm not the type to confront people in front of anyone else. So I'm just like, whatever. Like my city where I lived, it was bad, but it was like where I lived wasn't bad. So it's like, yes, the city is bad, but my area was going into a better area, and her area was going into my area, which was meaning like we're in the same area, but we just are on borderlines of different towns. And it was literally like 5 to tops 10 blocks, and she has a 7-Eleven down her street. So it can't be any more ghetto than what hers was. So basically I would notice little things, and I was just like starting to like kind of back away from the friendship, because I was just like, you know, I could tell when someone isn't treating me right, but at the same time I'm still nice, like I'll still hang out with everyone, you know. But I just knew like I was starting to not speak to her as much about different things that were going on in my life or about my relationships. And I remember telling my best friend about it, and she was just like, yeah, something is wrong, like I can feel it. But nothing really like happened until I'd say the end of, I think it was the end of, I'd say kind of like right before Thanksgiving break. I remember it was me, and she had a friend who was a boy who was literally like, he was kind of like your gay best friend. Like he was around a lot. And so it was her, him, another girl she hung out with, and me. So it was 4 of us that we went out to lunch with. And we were all talking, and her friend, the girl, was telling us about a situation that one of her friends had actually committed suicide, and she believed he was in heaven. And I was telling her, you know, mind you, this is a Christian university, so just so you guys know. And I was telling her as well, like, you know, I had a friend who had committed suicide back then. It was like 2 years before I went to college. And I was telling her, you know, yeah, I believe my friend is in heaven as well. And I remember her just like saying, you know, something, and then all of a sudden she was like, no, Kym, your friend is in hell. And I'm just like, literally, like it shocked me, because like as a friend, there's just the way you say things. Like even if I believe, like even if I was talking about a dog and I believe that dogs don't go to heaven, there's no way I would personally be like, no, you're wrong, your dog is in hell. I would say, you know what, I really hope for your sake that, you know, your dog is in heaven, you know, because I know God made him for a purpose. But the way she said it was just so completely wrong. And I literally sat back, and they had kept talking. All three of them were talking. And I sat back, and in my head, I'm just sitting there thinking, Kym, what the hell are you doing? Why are you still sitting here talking to these people? I'm like, they are not your friends. That's exactly, oh, I feel like I saw something flying by. But I was like, yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking. I just sat there for a minute talking to myself and just saying, these are not your friends. You know, friends wouldn't treat you this way. And I just remember getting up and walking away. And I was just like, that was the best feeling ever. I was just like, I was so done with them, especially after that. Because there's no way I would ever even think of saying that to anyone. And I remember her like probably a week later writing me, not even the same day, like a week later writing me on Facebook saying, oh, you know, what's wrong? Why'd you get up and leave? And she was like, are you upset? And I told her, I said, yeah, I'm upset. I'm upset with the way you had said it. And she didn't even try to say, you know, I'm sorry for the way it came out. I should have worded it different. She was just like, oh, well, the Bible says this, and I'm sorry you feel this way, but this is how it is, and blah, blah, blah. I'm just like, really? So yeah, I don't even think I replied to her. Like, I didn't feel like she deserved a reply. I kind of just backed away completely from that relationship. So around that time, I remember going to a basketball game with my best friend, and I saw them there, and I had still talked to the other three girls that were kind of like our mutual friends. And I remember walking up to say hi, because it was her and a couple of the other guys we hung out with. And two of the girls, not all three, two of the girls came up to me and them saying, listen, Kym, we just want to let you know that this girl has been talking about you. She's not your friend. She's still talking about you with me not being here. So it was just like a shock to me, because I kind of thought so, but I didn't want to like put it out there unless it was really happening. But they cleared it up completely. They let me know, like, don't tell her anything, because she's basically telling everyone your business. And by then I wasn't talking to her anyway, so I just like walked by the girl. I didn't say nothing, because by then I knew she was talking about me. So I remember at that time we had stopped talking completely. Like, we were just done with being friends. And at that time I was kind of on again, off again with that like basketball guy or whatever. We were kind of like, I don't know what we were doing. So basically around that time, mind you, I had stopped talking to her completely. Around that time, the basketball guy, he told me that they had started hanging out at his house because he had a roommate, and they became friends with his roommate and would basically come over and try to sleep over into the living room and like hang out with them. And you know, and he was just like, I wasn't for it. Like, these girls are annoying. Like, he basically put it to the point where he wasn't like trying to be around them. But at the same time, they were trying to be around him. The same girl who was telling me, oh, don't hang out with him, he's not good for you, blah, 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 is trying to spend the weekends and everything at his house. You know, like, and I'm just like, weren't you the same one telling me, you know, don't hang out with him, but yet you're over there? So I'll never forget, I remember it was February 14th, I was hanging out with my best friend, and one of my friends who's a guy, and he's kind of like mutual friends with them, I guess. Like, his guy friends are friends with her friends, and they were all hanging out at somebody's house, but it wasn't the basketball player's house. They were hanging out at someone's house, and he called me and he was just like, oh, what are you up to? You know, Phony's here, and you know, she's talking about you. Like, he was just saying all this stuff, telling me everything. And so I was just like, oh, I'm actually out with the basketball player. Even though I wasn't, I wanted to see what she would say. So he was talking to me, and somehow she had overheard that I had said I was hanging out with the basketball player. And she was like, oh, that's because that's all he could get right now. Like just trying to say like I'm the bottom of the pool or whatever. So that really pissed me off. And I remember texting her, telling her, look, keep my name out of your mouth. You don't know me like this. You know, you got the wrong girl. You know where I live. If you got a problem with me, you can come and see me, you know, because literally we're in the same dorm. You know where I live. If you got a problem, come over. So basically she had said she was coming and I was just like, okay. I kid you not, I took off my earrings, had my hair up, had Vaseline on. My friend was even there and she was just trying to calm me down. Mind you, I never fought a day in my life, so I probably would have got my ass whooped, but I was still like ready to fight this girl because I was so upset with her talking about me for no reason. So she came to I remember she came to my dorm and she brought 2 other girls with her. She brought one of her friends and then she brought this other girl and she's like, oh yeah, we just wanted to let you know that the basketball player and his friends, they're our boys. They're like our brothers. We're best friends with them, like all this stuff. They're like, but they're also, the basketball player is also talking to her at the same time he's talking to you. I'm thinking to myself, okay, so why do you, if that's the case, why would you bring her? And you know, like you don't do that. If you're really someone's friend, you would say it one-on-one. You wouldn't be talking about them in front to everyone else and then bringing the other girl. But whatever, if he was doing it, at the end of the day, we weren't even dating, so that was his prerogative. Like I had other people lined up too. He wasn't like the only one. Like until we're dating, you're not gonna ever be the only one. So I was just like, whatever, like, you know. So she brought them and they're like, oh yeah, we hang out at their house all the time. They're our boys. We care about them and we care about you. And I'm thinking to myself, like, you didn't even like this guy for me, but now all of a sudden he's your boy. Like I was just like too through with this girl. So supposedly at the end of this whole conversation, I just squashed it. I was just like, whatever, you know, like I was too through with this girl. But I was just like, you know what? I'm not even arguing with you about it. To me, I just let it go. But in my mind, I was like, you know, I see who you are. And I remember she was like, tomorrow we can all sit together at Convocation, which is kind of like a class you have to go to every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you know, like to hear people speak and stuff. So I was like, okay, you know. So me and my friend had went there the next day and we were sitting in there and we were like talking to each other. And we're like, why are we even here sitting next to her? Like, this is so fake. We don't even like them. Why are we being the same thing she's being to us? Like, fake. So when it was over, we literally just left. We were just like too through. We just said bye and that was it. Like we just ended it. Like we were done speaking to them. And I remember I did not speak to her anymore after that. But I do remember her gay best friend, like a month or two later. There was a picture of her, me, and the gay best friend. And I remember her, like him writing something in the comment section, and mind you, I'm tagged in it so I can see it, and he was like, oh, good times. She was like, yeah, we have to do it again. And he's like, yeah, but not with some in the picture. And I was just like, really? First of all, you're gonna call me out my name? And I never ever said anything to him about like himself or anything. So I got really pissed off about that because I'm like, if I'm not going to be friends with her, it doesn't mean I'm not going to be friends with you anymore. I was still speaking to him like literally the week before. I remember he was waiting for a bus and me and my best friend were talking to him. We were just laughing and everything. So it was like, obviously he was just being as fake as she was. So I remember I wrote him this long letter on Facebook telling him keep his name out of my mouth or keep my name out of his mouth because his name is definitely not in mine. And that was it. We didn't even speak anymore after that. I think I blocked him. When I saw him, like literally he was invisible. I kept walking past him. But I do remember like 2 weeks ago he wrote me on Facebook, and I'm the type of person, I'm not gonna hold grudges. Like I will forgive you, but I'm not gonna forget what you've done. And I remember he wrote me, he was like, oh, you know, Kym, I miss you. I see, you know, you've gotten married, blah blah blah. And I was just like, hey, you know, how are you? I never said I miss you back. I was just like, hey, how are you? Nice to hear from you. I kept it like that. I didn't even say, I don't think I said nice to hear from you. But I kept it like kind of cold just because at the end of the day, I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm your friend or I've forgotten everything, because no, I don't forget things. If you've done me wrong, I will always remember. I will forgive you, but I will always remember how you treat me. And if we've been friends and we stop being friends, more than likely we're never going to be friends again, because there's a reason why you weren't my friend. You know, like there's a reason why we broke up. Like, and I'm not going to burn myself and go through the same thing again. So basically, after all that happened, I was really completely done with her. I deleted her from my friends list, and I deleted the other girl too. One of the 3 other girls that was talking about me as well. And I remember, like, even back in 2010, this girl added me and was just like, hey, how are you? And I'm nice. I was like, at the end of the day, it was mainly that one phony. It wasn't really her. So I was just like, hi, you know, how are you? We talked a little, and she was like, it's good to hear from you. And I was like, yeah, same here. And then like a month or 2 later, I noticed that she had deleted me as a friend. Mind you, she added me. She asked to be my friend, so I added her. And then she deleted me a month or 2 later. I'm just like, well, that's weird. Like, you know, like you kind of can tell, like, obviously someone was checking up on you and see what you were up to. And then like back in the beginning of 2015 of this year, January, she added me again. And by then I noticed she had moved on, had a family. I'm thinking, well, maybe we're adults now. And so I was just like, I accepted her friend request because she asked to be my friend again. And I think I liked one of her pictures because she has kids or things like that. And she never like contacted me or anything, and I never really reached out to her. I was just like, you know, you could be my friend. I wasn't trying to automatically say, hey, how are you? So then I noticed a month or 2 after that, she deleted herself again. And I'm like, this girl is either bipolar or crazy, I don't know what. So I just basically blocked her. I'm like, there's no need for her to see what's going on in my life. Obviously, she's just being nosy as hell. And, you know, I don't need that pettiness in my life. Like, I have grown up, and I feel like that is just so high school, and, you know, I don't need that anymore. But yeah, that's about it. It's probably not as crazy as some fake friend stories could be, but mine definitely taught me a valuable lesson on learning to not trust everyone. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you guys are interested in hearing more story times, then definitely let me know below. I have some crazy stories. I actually remembered one of like a homeless man flashing me, so I can tell you that story as well. But yeah, that's about it. Thank you guys again so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.